What's up, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of MR2SDAY. I've decided I want to work on this thing and kind of continue to build it regularly. So on Tuesdays, most Tuesdays, I'm not sure I'm going to do it every Tuesday. It just depends on the giveaway build. But on Tuesdays, I'm going to do MR2SDAY. It's where I take a project for the MR2 and work through it, whether it's simple or complex, and put it out on Tuesday. So today, the suspension of the MR2, it hadn't been working right. It's very stiff, and the adjustment is kind of weird. Like the way that the car sits is kind of weird right to left on the front. And so I'm going to pull these springs out and check everything out and see if I can't find what the issue is. Check it out. Yeah, we'll do fiberglass again soon. So these came on my car. They're BC Racing coilovers. I've heard great things about them. They came on my car, and ever since like the first time I ever drove my car, I noticed that they were incredibly stiff. And I just thought, I've never had BC coilovers, so I just thought, well, that's just the way they're supposed to ride. When I started to do this job, and I started to try to get the car to ride a little bit lower with the wide body kit. Who is it? Who is it? Huh? I bet he'll come see you in a minute. This section, he's going to his mailbox, yeah. I noticed that this section on my passenger side was way longer than this, and I also noticed that when I set these to the exact same height, the car sat kind of like this. So the passenger side was up really high, and the driver's side was kind of down low. And I noticed when I dropped the passenger side on the ground, the spring didn't give at all. And on the driver's side, it would actually give maybe like a half an inch or so. The wheel would kind of sink like you would expect with any sort of car that has suspension in it. I'm going to try to get these reset. The factory preload setting for these is a 5mm raise on this collar. So basically you take tension off the spring, run the collar up, and then run it up basically one collar width. And that's where you need to leave that top collar, and then you adjust from there. But I'm not a big coilover expert. I don't know much about them. I've installed a few sets, but I don't really get into coilovers. Like, it's not something I really get excited about. So I just want my car to ride correctly, and I want both sides to be even. So I'm going to try to adjust that here, and I'm not really sure how yet, but I think it's going to end up being me pulling off these top mounts and getting some tension off these springs so that I can lower the collar. So what I'm going to try first, since they're out, is I'm just going to try loosening this collar and see if I can do it. I couldn't do it when it was on the car, but I don't know, I'm feeling hopeful. I think the first thing that I need to do is make these even. So I'm going to drop this one down, or move this up, I guess, so that these two match. And then, I don't know what comes after that. Here, let Daddy loosen it. Here, you want to put it right there?
I'll put this.
Wait, we gotta do this one first. Here, let me see. I'll show you. Can I show you? You want to do it? Okay. Here, I'll put it on there for you, and then you pull it. Let Daddy put it on there for you.
Silky beat.
are both 20. All right, so we are even. Now I can show you the problem. Ugh. So the bottoms of both coilovers are even now. The steering knuckle mounts are at the same height, but my coilovers are two different lengths. So this one is way longer. Now I got to figure out how to make this one that's longer as short as the one on the other side. The one on the other side is the driver's side that is working pretty much properly, and then the one over here is the one that is riding way too stiff. So we'll try to figure that out now. Like I said, I don't know a lot about coilovers, so I went ahead and I staged all these parts out so that I know exactly how they go back on the shot. What I'm gonna do is kind of take a closer look at this. I'll go ahead and pull this off. Nice. What I'm gonna do is kind of look in here. What I'm thinking. So this is that collar. It's locked up pretty good. But what it looks like is this collar has just been spun all the way up, like as high as it could possibly go. And that is what's causing my issues. One more thing I wanted to ask you guys about, because I don't really know. When I bought the car, the person who had installed these gave me these springs as well. They're a little bit shorter. So I don't know what they are. I don't know why he gave them to me. I don't know if these are like the spring that came on it and he upgraded to like a bigger one. So if you know the answer to that, there's a number on it. 62-120-012 is the number on that one, and this one is 62-135-010. So I imagine they're different weights, but I don't know. So if you know, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what these extra springs that he gave me are for. I don't want to get those confused. So I'm going to try to get this to release some more WD-40. I think we'll do the trick. If not, I'll use some PB Blaster. And then lower this down so that it matches the other one.
Silky beat.
All right, there you have it. The good thing about using BC is I was able to just give them a call, ask them what collars I was supposed to use, and they told me which ones to order. And so I've got them waiting for me at home. I'm gonna get this thing back home and get those collars on. The issue is that there was a ton of dirt clogged in here. Like if I do this, you can see there was a lot of dirt inside of that. And so that sees the threads up. So, lesson here, before you ever adjust your coilovers, make sure you clean the threads. That's pretty much it. Some of the threads were a little bit damaged from me cutting this thing off. So what I did is I took the one that was still intact and I ran it all the way up and all the way back down. If it ever got stuck, I just ran it back and forth a few times. That way the threads kind of clean themselves up. I got all the little metal shavings off of them and they're ready to go for the next set of collars. So I think we're good. We're back to a good starting place, a blank canvas. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to put the collars on. I'm going to put that thing back on, whatever that thing's called, the mount, and put this thing back together, and we should be good to go back in the car. Finally. Let's do it. So these are the new collars I ordered. I should tell you guys now that you're supposed to have 3, but the guy that owned this car before me, I think, took one of them out so he could get the car even lower. So yes, you should have 3. I've been running with 2 for a while and it hasn't given me any issues, though I can't recommend it because you're supposed to have 3. So that's out of the way. Everything looks pretty good on these, so I'm going to work my way back up, starting with the spring seat lock ring. So a weird thing about this is that this shock is still longer. I don't know why. If any of you guys know why, I don't know if it maybe got replaced at some point in time or what, but it's definitely still longer. But I know these are set up correctly now, so I think we're good. Everything else looks the same length. Looks like this needs to come up just a little bit, but not too bad. So I'm going to get these settled, and then we'll throw them back in the car and finally get the car back on the ground. Alright, so everything's tightened back up and where it belongs. A couple things I did different this time is I zeroed this out. This is the camber setting at the top. And then I reset the camber to 0.08, almost 1 degree. And the reason for that is, one, I want it to be fairly zeroed out. I don't want to run a crazy amount of camber. And two, in order for this big wide 9.5-inch wheel and pretty wide tire to fit, it's got to be almost zeroed out. So it's 0.8 over here, 0.8 over there. These are both zeroed out, so I have some adjustment here if I need it. So I'm going to try this setup first, and then we'll go from there. That's the end of this video. Basically, this video was a product of me making a stance video for the MR2. The MR2 wasn't really sitting where I wanted it to, so I've been trying to drop it and widen it and narrow it and do all kinds of things to try to make it look the way I want it to look. And I think it's right now that I've got this suspension stuff sorted out, so I'm going to go back into that. So there will be another video coming next week, same day, of the MR2 stance and how I'm kind of adjusting that and getting all that lined up. I hope this helped you guys. If you have stuck seized coilovers, I hope this was helpful to you. This was completely new to me, and I wish I knew then what I know now. But listen, you guys are awesome. Shout out to the Patreon supporters. If you guys like what you saw today, I am building an Audi as well. That's pretty wild. You can see the back is like 8 inches wider than stock. So go check those videos out. Make sure you hit subscribe if you like it so you can keep up with these builds. This car will be given away when it's done. And actually probably this video is coming out kind of late, so it probably looks a little bit better than this now. So go check those videos out. There's a few ways you can support the channel. Obviously, I talked about Patreon. Patreon is a great way for you to be a part of what this channel is doing and the new content we're making. I use the Patreon crew to kind of run ideas past, so they're hearing about what I'm thinking for the next build. They're hearing about what we're doing with the Audi and how we're going to solve some problems that we're going. They're hearing about all that stuff and kind of giving me some feedback. They're the guys that I go to for that. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, I also post a lot of stuff on Instagram, a lot of questions, a lot of polls, things like that. So go check us out on Instagram at Built on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel in a different way, I do make t-shirts. This one's actually not for sale. This is a one of one, but I do have some t-shirts on my site. So go check out my website and pick up a shirt or some stickers or something like that and support this channel. You guys are awesome. I'll see you soon.